T. I'm Robin Vincent.
And I'm Tia Graham. And numbers rule everything in life, at least for Bridget M. Davis, author and child of Detroit. Growing up with a mother who literally ran the numbers, Bridget knew firsthand their power, especially when Bridget began to deal with the healthcare system directly. Her mother was diagnosed with cancer and her sister with lupus, ushering in the uncomfortable truths of the U.S. healthcare system and the systemic racism that exists within. The numbers told the story of countless Black women harmed by a very system that intends to do no harm.
The memoir, Love, Rita, an American story of sisterhood, joy, loss, and legacy, shines a light on women's health. The book explores the dynamics between generations of Black women moving through the complexities of living and dying in America. Joining us now to talk more about her memoir, Love, Rita, we have Bridget M. Davis with us. Bridget, welcome to the Metro.
Oh, thank you. It's great to be here.
So your memoir covers your life and relationship with your older sister, Rita, and the overall family dynamics. Let's start with your mother, Fannie. What was it like growing up as she was running the numbers?
I could talk about my mom forever. It was actually pretty magical because my mom was so good at what she did, because she was still very much a full-time mother, always available to us, and also at the same time, really running this operation that was extraordinary, giving us a middle-class life. So I must say it was, I knew it was unique, but it was also pretty special.
Let's also talk about Rita. You write in detail about her life and battle with lupus and the healthcare system. When you found out Rita had lupus, what was your initial reaction and what was hers to the diagnosis?
Yeah, Rita was diagnosed when she was 20. I was 4 years younger, so I was 16. And at the time, we didn't understand. This was the 1970s. We didn't understand really what it meant. I had in my mind that it was similar to arthritis. And I thought, well, no one dies from arthritis, so it should be okay. And I think that she also didn't fully understand what this meant, what this diagnosis meant. That came across time. She ultimately suffered with the condition for 24 years. So it was quite a journey for her, for me, for the rest of the family, as we began to understand more fully what this actual disease is.
But an illness certainly does not define a person and is just oftentimes one very small facet of someone's life. So could you talk about who your sister Rita was?
Thank you for that question. I believe in some ways I wrote the book for that very purpose, to say this was someone who suffered from lupus, but that's not who she was. It was a condition she had. Rita was dynamic. Everyone who knew her would say the same thing. This is someone who, as my older sister, went off to college at Fisk University at age 16. I was enamored with her as the first person in our family to go to college. But that's not all she did. She went to college. She came out. She said, we live in Detroit. I think I want to be a car test driver. And so she was one of the first women to do so at the Proving Grounds. It was extraordinary to watch that. And then she said, for fun, I think I want to learn to belly dance. Once again, I'm watching my big sister just live her life fully. She went on to get an MBA. She had a job in corporate America and then did this extraordinary thing. Also said, look, I do have this condition that affects my health. I'm going to adjust my life so that I don't have as much stress. And she became a very successful special ed teacher in the Detroit public school system. So what a life.
Yeah, a life that it sounds like was teaching you how to confront it head on, how to enjoy it and take risks and opportunities.
Yes, to have that model was fantastic. It really helped me understand that I could live boldly because I was watching my sister Rita do it.
You talk about a particular moment in the book when you accidentally gave your sister a black eye, because talk about living boldly. and she ultimately, it was because she was afraid for your safety at a very dangerous time in Detroit. Talk about the significance of that moment and the full circle nature of you becoming her caregiver later on.
Yeah, when we were growing up 4 years apart in age, I did think she was bossy, I'll be honest. I was her little sister and she felt she could tell me what to do. But in this case, it was such a resonant memory because, first of all, as siblings, none of us ever hit one another. So that was really out of the ordinary. I was so angry at her because she was worried about me. I had gone to Cedar Point with friends still in junior high, and I had not called home. Once it got dark, she got worried. When I walked in the door, she fussed and fussed. And ultimately, we argued, and I said that this brush I was holding slipped from my hand.
That laugh is very mischievous.
And the velocity of it, when I threw this brush, it did hit her right up under the eye. This was a big deal. Not only did she chase me through the house, fortunately she didn't catch me because I ran down the stairs and got behind the basement door before she could get me. But more importantly, it was a family affair. My siblings got involved. My mother, who was in the hospital at the time, got involved as well. My father. It was an extraordinary moment because this was not supposed to happen between sisters, and I felt terrible. But what was really beautiful about it, not only did my mother help me see at the time, she was worried about you. That's why what you did was so wrong. She was simply worried about you. And then I later, of course, understood really that this was her way of showing her love towards me. But what happened at the time was really quite moving. Rita never held it against me. She never brought it up again. She never did. Even when she still had a black eye, she didn't try to make me feel bad. It's extraordinary. And I now can say what incredible love a sister has for her sister to be able to handle that situation that way.
You're listening to the Metro on WDET. I'm Robin Vincent.
And I'm Tia Graham. We're speaking with Bridget M. Davis, the author of her new memoir, Love, Rita, An American Story of Sisterhood, Joy, Loss, and Legacy. Now, Bridget, you write about your mother as well in detail in the book. And you quoted her saying, one of her sayings long before she was sick was that money even makes dying easier. Can you talk about the significance of those words, especially as you began to traverse the healthcare system yourself?
Oh, yes. It was true for my mom, who was really grateful that she had good health insurance because she did not want to suffer. As she said, money makes it easier to die because you can alleviate some of the suffering that could come from a long, protracted, illness. She'd seen a lot, my mom, born in 1929. You can imagine what she had witnessed in terms of how the healthcare system treats Black folks. And so when it came to my sister Rita, she too, I now understand, worked so hard, even as she was struggling with this chronic illness, to ensure that she had a good job, as they say, with good health insurance. And that is one of the reasons why she was committed to becoming a teacher in the public school system there in the city, because she knew she'd have good health insurance. And boy, did she need it.
Yeah.
She needed it.
And speaking of Rita, I'm sorry, we're getting down to the end of our conversation here, so I definitely do want to make sure that we get through some of our talking points. But I do want to touch on Rita and her life and battle with lupus throughout it, because stress is one of those key factors that brings on attacks of lupus. So I'm thinking about the added stress of Rita not only being a caregiver to your mother when she did have her cancer diagnosis and working through the healthcare system, Rita's interaction with doctors, and as well, Rita dealing with her own personal life. Can you talk about all of those factors coming together during Rita's time?
Yes, a life involves so much that it feels really upsetting sometimes to think that the external factors, essentially those aspects of systemic racism we all know about, were also impacting her life on top of her personal situation. This toxic stress exacerbated the symptoms of her lupus. And that is really also why I wrote the book, to really try to answer an unanswerable question. Why Rita? And so I am trying my best in the book to really sort of interrogate all of these systems, not just the healthcare system, the housing situation, the way work environments impact Black life and Black women in particular. All of these things contribute to how someone is able to manage and function and try to live fully in the world.
And Bridget, that's perfect jumping point, because I want to talk about the importance of having these conversations within community. When we think about Love Rita, American Story of Sisterhood, Joy, Loss, and Legacy, and the stories that you're telling from your own personal experiences, why is it important, once again, to talk about this, especially as Black women in community?
I just feel it's vital for us to understand that we don't need to blame ourselves. So often we're told you should be living better, you should be eating better, you should be doing this or that better. But really what's happening is there's outside pressure that goes beyond anything we can do for our own personal, responsibility. Now, look, we should involve ourselves in as much self-care as possible, but understanding what you're up against, I feel, is key to really forgiving yourself, to living as well as you can, and also understanding what those real forces are out there working against you.
And we got about 30 seconds or so, but you do have two events coming up this weekend, celebrating the book, celebrating the time and life of Rita and your mother, Fannie, as well. Can you talk to us a little bit about those events and what audiences can expect?
Yes, I'm very excited that on Saturday, March 22nd, I'll be at 27th Letter Books, which is a beautiful bookstore on Michigan Avenue. And then on Sunday, I will be at the Detroit Public Library at the main branch at 2 p.m., one of my favorite places in the world.
And it's not too far from WDET either, so super excited about that. Thank you so much for joining us on the Metro. Bridget M. Davis recently wrote a memoir called Love Rita, an American Story of Sisterhood, Joy, Loss, and Legacy. Once again, Davis will have two events this weekend, this Saturday at 27th Letter Books and Sunday at Detroit Public Library. Bridget, thank you so much for joining us on the Metro.
Thank you so much for having me.
From the WDET newsroom, the state of Michigan will hold its annual tornado drill today at 1 p.m. The tornado drill will be in different counties in southeastern Michigan, including Oakland, Macomb, Washtenaw, and Wayne. People are asked to practice tornado precautions and safety plans during the drill. And the Detroit Department of Transportation, or DDOT, is hosting a public hearing to gather feedback about service changes that will begin this summer. The hearing will be held tomorrow at 5 p.m. at the Rosa Parks Transit Center at 1310 Cass, and it will also be on Zoom. Route schedule changes are being proposed along Grand River and Jefferson.
Coming up, sports are changing, from legalized sports betting to college athletes getting paid. Is the fan experience getting better as a result? Give us a call, 313-577-1019. This is WDET, Detroit Public Radio, your connection to news, music, and conversation. And this is the Metro. Stay with us.